I have tried to do this before and I have faltered every single time. I don't know what that says about me or about the movie I'm talking about, but to fully appreciate a Christopher Nolan film requires at least 2 viewings, don't you think? One down, one more to go. Hey all, my name is Acharita. Welcome to my channel where we've got reviews, some pretty awesome interviews, and soon some new essays and exclusive membership perks. Today, let's talk about Oppenheimer, starring Cillian Murphy, Matt Damon, Emily Blunt, Robert Downey Jr., Florence Pugh, half of Hollywood, directed by Christopher Nolan.
3,
Truman needs to know what's next.
2,
What's next?
1.
जे रॉबर्ट ऑपनहाइमर के बारे में अगर आपने नहीं सुना है तो आई डोंट ब्लेम यू। उनकी कहानी इंडिया की जीके की किताबों तक शायद ही पहुंची है। इस हफ्ते से ठीक 78 इयर्स पहले यूएस लेड मैनहट्टन प्रोजेक्ट के अंडर ट्रिनिटी टेस्ट्स हुए थे, जहां दुनिया का पहला एटॉमिक बॉम्ब परखा गया। इस प्रोजेक्ट का इंचार्ज वाज ऑपनहाइमर, जिसे ऑलमोस्ट इमीडिएटली रियलाइज होता है दैट ही हैज सेट इन मोशन इवेंट्स दैट विल चेंज द कोर्स ऑफ ह्यूमैनिटी। नो कैप। गूगल करके आप और जान सकते हैं अबाउट हिज अटेम्प्ट्स टू देन बी लाइक, गाइस कैन वी like forget this whole thing happened, people are going to die, which obviously did not work. People died. Oppenheimer lived in regret.
And I know what it means.
Enter Christopher Nolan. Did someone say regret? Regret is a theme visible in many of Christopher Nolan movies, except maybe Tenet, because I have no idea what that one is about. उसके पहले Interstellar में Cooper, Dunkirk में Every Soldier, Inception में Cobb, जहाँ characters aren't emotionally self-aware enough to feel regret for their reprehensible actions, they choose to alter the truth of their reality by either lying to themselves, like the magicians in The Prestige, or forgetting it ever really happened, like Lenny in Memento. How far can science and technology be pushed before men lose their humanity is another thought clearly gnawing at Nolan from the inside. Michael Caine in Interstellar, Hugh Jackman in The Prestige. Oppenheimer is all of this with the added weight of feeling more important and poignant, because you know that this time none of it is made up. What you see is what happened, and in more ways than one is directly responsible for the way the world is. Unlike Alfred Nobel, the inventor of dynamite, Oppenheimer didn't even get to clear his conscience by instituting a peace prize in his name.
Chances are near zero.
Perhaps longtime collaborator Cillian Murphy's cheekbones and striking resemblance to Oppenheimer inspired Nolan to adapt for screen Kai Bird and Martin Sherwin's Pulitzer-winning American Prometheus, The Triumph and Tragedy of J. Robert Oppenheimer. Who knows? But it is obvious that with the very first frame, this is going to be a career-defining role for the actor. Looking slim to the extent of gaunt, Cillian Murphy looks like a man who suffered sleepless nights, a million thoughts ricocheting inside his head, not afforded the luxury to pause and think of consequences. Here is a man aware he will have to fall on his own sword one day, his knowledge becoming power for the already powerful. Once again, giving up what the whole movie is about from the very first scene, the film opens with a line of text telling you about Prometheus stealing fire from gods to give to mankind and then being chained for all eternity to a rock in punishment. Here's a character whose guilt gnawed at him his whole existence. Despite achievements, the entire world around him celebrated. For those of us still scratching our heads over Tenet, Oppenheimer, despite its long runtime, comes as a relief in that it's mostly straightforward, and like vintage Nolan, is more approachable than his recent work, The Prestige style. Narrative structure-wise, there is still a considerably high risk of getting lost if you look away for a bit. Straight off the bat, I do believe I counted 4 different timelines, but unlike sci-fi, your job as audience this time is not to determine which one you're supposed to believe. Don't worry about that. Cillian, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr., they carry most of the weight, primarily because they get the most screen time. A grouse I have had with Nolan's film in the past I will continue to hold on to, that he doesn't spend enough time fleshing out the women in his films. Emily Blunt is pitch perfect as Kitty Oppenheimer, but she's mostly tasked with looking upset and unsatisfied. This time the leading man leaves 2 women wanting for more. Florence Pugh plays Jean Tatlock, stepping into Marion Cotillard of Inception shoes, a woman so in love with the idea of what love is, she stops differentiating real life from dream. This movie's R rating may also be attributed to the Oppenheimer-Tatlock subplot. There is a lot of nudity here, most of which doesn't feel natural. It feels like a decoration, an add-on. Unnecessary, if I may add.
You are the man who gave them the power to destroy themselves. And the world is not prepared.
As you watch the movie, jumping back and forth between color and black and white, fission and fusion, the incessant Hollywood cameos begin to feel distracting. Rami Malek, Josh Hartnett, Dane DeHaan, Gary Oldman, Casey Affleck, Benny Safdie, Jack Quaid, to name but a few. I maybe wouldn't call Kenneth Branagh a cameo appearance any more than I would his work in Dunkirk, but the movie itself also, I think, does realize that these aren't characters the audience needs to bother with, and the story doesn't bother with these characters much. Cutting back to yet another explosive, pardon my pun, scene with Robert Downey Jr. giving everyone a run for their money. He's so good. In that way, this is both a character study and not. Depth only afforded to the cast you've seen on red carpets. Old ones return for the sake of friendship, I suppose, and new ones, kyunki who doesn't want a Nolan film on their resume? In a conversation with me, which you can watch here, Cillian Murphy said that perhaps Oppenheimer turned to scripture to look for some consolation. This was by no means an unaware man. He knew he's driven enough to take someone's life if he finds them on his way to greatness. And perhaps each day he struggled with the desire to do so, how easy it would be. Oppenheimer the movie goes to this dark and lonely place by way of blinding fury explosions. With regular collaborator Hoyte van Hoytema, Nolan once again creates a visual show the likes of which you see in their films together, and also Denis Villeneuve movies. Remember that Interstellar-induced feeling of falling down a black hole in a small and insignificant spaceship floating adrift amidst rapidly churning currents of light? Now imagine that black hole is inside your body. All the heat of all the stars imploding together is emanating from the pit of your stomach as bombs go off, and Oppenheimer kinda sorta wakes up from his reverie. The film leaves no stone unturned to emphasize visually how deeply significant this feeling was to him, that he is God, that he's the universe. Does he want it?
Let's go recruit some scientists.
For those in our world today living under similar delusions of grandeur, there might still be time to learn from the man who played with fire and lived to regret it, charred by the flames of his own legacy. In one of my favorite scenes, Oppenheimer and Louis Strauss talk in an office. In the background, through a window, you can see a white-haired, almost jovial Albert Einstein staring at a pond, occasionally throwing stones into it. Strauss offers Oppenheimer an introduction. Einstein is, after all, the greatest mind of our times. Oppenheimer corrects Strauss and says, of his time. He was the greatest mind of his time, and proceeds to tell Strauss that he already knows Albert. The movie then takes you away. There are other plots, locations, Los Alamos, atomic bombs, and then ghoom phir ke wapas comes back to this scene, this moment. I won't tell you what happens next, but at this point, Christopher Nolan himself has already given away many plot points in his many interviews. Perhaps you would like to Google and find out how he himself relates the final moment in Inception to Oppenheimer and its emotional complexity. The movie is out this week. If possible, watch it in IMAX. I will come back with another live stream to discuss or thoda sa detail mein after a second viewing, okay? Picking up a lot more details I'm sure I've missed.
This is the most important thing to ever happen in the history of the world.
So, on a scale of 1 to 10, Oppenheimer is 100% relevant and very, very scary. If no one else, I hope world leaders to kam se kam will watch this film. Up next, Greta Gerwig's Barbie. Subscribe kar le channel ko to interview miss nahi hoga aapka. Maybe more interviews with more Hollywood movie stars. I know ek to pakka I can confirm is coming up. जानने के लिए कि कौन सा interview है, बने रहो यहाँ पर. My name is Sucharita. Subscribe to my channel and thank you for stopping by.